One, two. Well, pleasant good afternoon, everyone. You've just heard the UH Downtown Civic Jazz Orchestra.
Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Fellowship of Houston. Visitors, friends, members. My name is Dodie McKellar and I've been a member for over 50 years at this, our 59th anniversary congregation year. Our activities and Sunday services provide a varied and lively religious liberal life in this community. From our minister, Patty Henry, to our congregation-led sermons, we add additional recognition of the arts in our spiritual quest. Today, we welcome the Civic Jazz Orchestra. The University of Houston Downtown Civic Jazz Orchestra was started by our very own Robert Wilson. In 1991, it is comprised of musicians from the greater Houston area who love to play jazz. The band plays at the Arts Festival at UHD and will have their 19th annual Women in Jazz concert at the new Martini Blue venue on Fountain View, Sunday, March the 11th. Let's mark that date, Sunday, March 11th. Over the years, the band has hosted such jazz luminaries as jazz trumpet great Clark Terry, saxophonist David Fathead Newman, from the Ray Charles Band, and many others. The band is conducted by Sam Jackson, the one and only Sam Jackson, a veteran band leader, arranger, and composer who was a veteran band, high school band director at HIST, another teacher for many years. The band vocalist is our own Julie Wilson, who has been with the band since 2003. Their special guest is also our very own Michael Mertz. Take over.
May we be reminded here of our highest aspirations, inspired to bring our gifts of love and service to the altar of humanity. May we know once again that we are not isolated beings, but connected in mystery and miracle to the universe, to this community, and to each other. We will now receive the offering.
Good morning. We're going to talk about jazz today a little bit, give you some glimpses. It is with deep pleasure and a privilege to celebrate Black History Month by presenting UHD Civic Jazz Orchestra in a program of outstanding Black American jazz musicians and composers. Jazz is a cultural roux, that wonderful cooking base from Louisiana, whose various ingredients have to be brought together over heat, gently, with constant stirring and vigilant care. In this roux are blended the many musical traditions that flourished in New Orleans within its many musical venues during the last decades of the 19th and early 20th century. These included the ancestral polyrhythms of Africa, ragtime, spirituals, minstrel tunes, European folk melodies, operatic arias, military marches, the blues, as well as Spanish and Caribbean music. That's a lot of ingredients. What is jazz? According to Dr. Robert Wilson, who teaches the subject at UHD, jazz is a musical genre characterized by swing feeling, syncopation, and improvisation, spontaneous creativity. Jazz started out as dance music and remained that way until the 1940s, when over-commercialization drove the newer generation to rebel and develop bebop, a form of jazz that was purposely complex, required consummate virtuosity, and was aimed at sophisticated jazz aficionados for listening only. Since then, continuing in its tradition of blending what it finds from its surroundings and circumstances with what it already possesses, jazz has undergone many more developments and transformations and made itself at home throughout the world. Though no longer mainstream, jazz has undergone something of a cultural renaissance right here in the U.S., nurtured by music education programs, also boosted by programs such as Ken Burns' PBS's documentary, Jazz, and by jazz advocates such as the artistic director of jazz at Lincoln Center, multiple Grammy winner, trumpeter and jazz educator, Wynton Marsalis, the author of this and many more books. Marsalis, along with many other luminaries, sounded the alarm after Hurricane Katrina covered over 80% of New Orleans with water, that the U.S. and the world was in imminent danger of completely losing the cultural treasure that was New Orleans, and the source of that national treasure, her people. Marsalis, squarely in the Black American oratorial tradition, is an eloquent and convincing socio-cultural commentator who continually reminds us that jazz is America's original art form. I am quoting from his beautiful book, written after Katrina, which I've already showed you. Our first number was Jive at Five, played by the legendary Count Basie Band and composed by Count Basie and trumpeter Harry Sweets Edison. Bill Count Basie's band was discovered by the impresario John Hammond, who heard the band on a radio broadcast. He was so impressed he brought them to New York in 1936. Basie's band was known for its unerring blues feel, for the all-American rhythm section, guitar, piano, bass, and drums, which revolutionized the approach to rhythm section playing. For example, bassist Walter Page perfected the walking bass line. Drummer Joe Jones modernized the swing style by de-emphasizing the bass drum so as not to obscure the bass line, and other innovations. These led to pianist Basie's developing an economical approach to playing chords, known as comping, and to equally spare solos consisting of single note lines played on the upper registers of the piano. Basie kept the band playing for 49 years. It is still out there under the leadership of alumni. And I'm going to say just a couple of words about Billie Holiday, the song that I just sang, God Bless the Child. Bassist John Levy, who worked with Lady Day, said this about her. Billie was a complete stylist. When you listen to her sing, you feel she has lived that experience and she is telling a story about it. I don't think anyone can express a story better than Billie. Winton adds, I once listened to almost nothing but Billie Holiday for an entire year. She had a limited range, wasn't virtuosic. She didn't ever solo exactly. Her solo was what she did with the melody and what she brought to the rephrasing of a song. She was influenced by Louis Armstrong. She imbued ballads and torch songs with much deeper meaning and with unerring rhythm. She swung like crazy on every tempo. Sad song, happy dance, that all-important paradox in her sound enriched her music making. She teaches that the message you are delivering can be more important than limitations in the method of delivery. Steveland Hardaway Morris, Stevie Wonder, really needs no introduction since he belongs to our generation and has contributed generously to the soundtrack of our lives. He started as a child prodigy and was signed to Motown's Tamla label at the age of 11. He is considered to be one of the most critically and commercially successful composer-performers of the late 20th century. You Are the Sunshine of My Life, released in 1973, won Wonder a Grammy for Best Pop Male Vocal Performance, and is ranked number 281 on Rolling Stone's 500 Greatest Songs of All Time. He is still going strong.
Sunshine of my life. That's why I'll always be around. You are the apple of my eye. Wherever you stay in my heart, I feel like this is the beginning. Though I've known you for a million years, if I thought our love was, I find myself drowning in my own tears. You are the sunshine of my life. That's why I'll always be around. You are the apple of my eye. Forever you stay in my heart. Must have known that I was lonely, because you came to my rescue. Though I know that must be. How could so much love be inside of you? Oh, oh, oh.
Thank you.
It was a warm day in June the 4th, 1932. A boy was born. His name was Oliver Edward Nelson. He left us too soon at the age of 43 in 1965. In between that time, he also left us a plethora of great jazz music. He became his band, and he became most significant in 1961 with the release of his album Blues and Abstract Truth, on which was his most significant and notable composition, Stolen Moments. All the musicians across the planet know about Stolen Moments. On a different day, you'll hear us play that. Unfortunately, not today, but we're going to play another one of his great pieces entitled Miss Fine. We know you're going to enjoy it.
Thank you.
they wonderful? And isn't Michael just fitting right in? Oh. Okay, so that last In a Sentimental Mood was composed by, of course, Duke Ellington. So Duke Ellington was a composer, pianist, and band leader par excellence for almost 50 years. Wynton Marsalis on Duke Ellington says, Ellington was a man for all the people and the most unwavering example in jazz of pure dedication and ceaseless productivity. He was the most prolific of American musicians. His music is full of lessons. The central fact of his life and the source of endless inspiration was his fascination with and love of all kinds of people. More than any other jazz musician, he addressed the rich internal life of men and women in love. One touch of his hand on the piano, and the moon entered the room. Duke understood that jazz could be hot and sweet. He called jazz musical freedom of speech. His band is still on the road. We're going to have Blues Walk, and this was written by Clifford Brown. He was a jazz trumpeter and composer who died in a car accident at the age of 25 in 1956, cutting short a brilliant career. He played with many of the greats of his day and was best known for the jazz quintet he formed with Max Roach, Brown and Roach Incorporated. He influenced later trumpeters Freddie Hubbard and Lee Morgan. He won the Downbeat Critics Poll, the New Star of the Year in 1954, and was inducted into the Jazz Hall of Fame in 1972. He wrote Blues Walk with bandmate, drummer Max Roach. That's what we mean by a shout chorus. Okay. Jamesetta Hawkins, or Etta James, was a powerful singer who performed in the genres of blues, R&B, soul, rock and roll, jazz, and gospel. She won 6 Grammy Awards, 17 Blues Music Awards. She was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1993, the Blues Hall of Fame in 2001, and the Grammy Hall of Fame in 1999. She was ranked number 22 on the Rolling Stone list of the 100 greatest singers of all time. Her heartfelt rendition of At Last is iconic and forever associated with her. We're going to do a duet. Director Samuel and I. And this is a duet that was originally done by Louis Armstrong and Ella Fitzgerald, one of their many. And at the very end, we're going to have a song composed by Duke Ellington and sung by Ella Fitzgerald, which is called Drop Me Off in Harlem. Just a few words about Louis Armstrong, or Pops. He was born and grew up in teeth-clenching poverty. He knew the bottom. He was raised by people who embraced life under extreme circumstances, and their hard-earned optimism was passed on to him and then to the world through his horn. From the age of 8 or 9, when it was about music, he was the best. He was always the best, and by a lot. The whole world of popular music imitated him. His influence on jazz is fundamental. Among his many innovations, instrumental solo improvisation. Before him, improvisation was done by the whole band at the same time, as in traditional jazz. He was the first to record scatting, or singing syllables, when he forgot the lyrics during a recording session, something I can identify with. His music was free of artifice. It is pure substance. And about Ella Fitzgerald, this one is very personal. Ella has been my jazz hero since I was 17. Ella taught me how to sing as I sang along with her beautiful, sophisticated, and enormous repertoire in recording after recording. I was fortunate enough to see her often on television variety shows, which she graced when I was growing up. She was an orphan and had a rough and tumble childhood and adolescence. She began her career by entering a competition at the Apollo Theater. She entered as a dancer, then changed her mind as she was being called to the stage and sang instead. She won. She was hired by Chick Webb to sing with his band and became an overnight success with A Tisket, a Tasket. She became a consummate performer who never failed to astound her audiences with her amazing range, vocal flexibility, and swing. She took scatting to a whole new level, and her improvisations were as sophisticated as those of the instrumentalists who admired her ability to interact with them using a similar horn-like language. She was called the First Lady of Song.
You
do something that's probably not the most appropriate place in church, but we know we're all liberals, so we'll go with it. It's called Who Walks In When I Walk Out?
Jealous of you.
Who walks in when I walk out? Who gives you that high, baby? Who's it who got me worrying too?
Now when we kiss, I kinda miss something that used to be.
Every day I find a way, I get the feeling that you're fooling me.
Oh, who walks in when I walk out? And who gives you that hi, baby? Who's it who got me jealous of you? I get the feeling that you're fooling me. Who walks in when I walk out? And who gives you that high, baby? Who's it who got me jealous of you? Got me jealous of you.
See, that wasn't too bad. Well, it's been wonderful. It's been really, really wonderful. I hope, thank you. And I want to thank you for subjecting your ears to our very, very full volume. But I really hope, we all sincerely hope you have really enjoyed it. We sure have. So to put out the chalice, our closing words are, again from Mr. Wynton Marsalis, jazz music reconciles opposites. It was created by the descendants of slaves, but speaks eloquently of freedom. The blues, the lifeblood of jazz, often has heartbreaking melodies and lyrics set to a happy dancing beat. But don't let the beat fool you. This is practical stuff. It keeps us rooted, and jazz can help us answer the cultural questions of our times. How can we use the aesthetic tools we have created to balance our lives? How do we address the technological advancements that make life softer without allowing them to eventually replace human interaction? How do we integrate with other cultures without disrespecting them or surrendering the best of what we are? Respect and trust. These are the things jazz teaches. When you listen to great musicians, you hear the respect they have for one another's abilities. You see the trust they have for one another because they are always making adjustments in response to what someone else has just created. In the words of Duke Ellington, "The people are my people." When we accept that credo as our own, then we will rise above the disappointments of the past and make real the dreams of our ancestors. I can still hear the words of Danny Barker, my first jazz teacher. Now that's jazz. Namaste. Go with God.
Drop me off in Harlem, any place in Harlem. There's someone waiting there, makes it seem like heaven up in Harlem. I don't want your Dixie, you can't keep your Dixie. There's no one down in Dixie who can take me away from my hot Harlem. Harlem has those southern skies, they're in my baby's smile. I idolize my baby's eyes and classy uptown style. If Harlem moved to China, I'd know of nothing finer than to stow away on a plane someday and have it drop me off in Harlem. Southern skies, they're in my baby's smile. I idolize my baby's eyes and classy uptown style. If Harlem moved to China, I'd know of nothing finer than to stow away on a plane someday and have it drop me off in Harlem. If Harlem moved to China, I'd know nothing finer than to be in Harlem. Ooh. University of Houston Downtown Civic Jazz Orchestra. Sam, introduce everybody, please.
My first opportunity to mess something up. Okay, here we go. Gerald, Andrew, Sean, Jim, Carl, saxophone section. Juan, Mark, Jarvis, And my fraternity brother who's sitting in and is doing a great favor for us, Reginald Barrett. Richard Chester on lead, James Page, and you know this young man. Robert Wilson, the man.
It's all his fault.
And this guy, I may have to just take him from you for a while. You know. Mike, thank you. John Williams, we know him as Pancho on the drums. His mother really forgot his real name. She calls him Nicholas. But that's time to keep her on the bass. And your very own Juliet Wilson. Just in case I forgot, I am Samuel Jackson. Not that guy, this guy. And thank you all for coming and listening to me.